Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Now we're going to have some fun. We're going to attempt to get this out of what it's in without damaging too many roots, but there will be some. And I have an array of tools that I may or may not need. I've got some heavy duty cutting secateurs. I've even got my bonsai cutters here, which can niggle away at things because of the angle. I've got 2 pairs of pliers for yanking stuff and my normal pruning scissors. Somewhere in amongst that lot will hopefully be the thing that we want. So let's get started. There's no weight here at all. It's not holding water. I put it in that clay pot to stop it falling over. Now the first job is to get it out of this plastic pot. And it's a shame because some of these nice new roots have actually come through the holes. We'll see what comes out. Oh, they came back through. Marvellous. Right, let's get my tag out of the way. Get that out of the way. Now this is the problem. It's in this coconut shell, which as you take it off normally damages roots. This is peeling off reasonably well. Now I was told that because of this is the way a lot of stuff gets imported nowadays, there's nothing you can do about it, that's how they sell them. The way to do it is to just take a bit off at a time. But I mean, you know, these roots are dry and papery. That doesn't mean to say they won't shoot out. Now this next piece has new roots at the top, but they're not attached. So we managed to get a fair bit off without damaging any new roots yet. The idea is that the new roots, see we've got a new growth up this end of the plant. So that will be producing new roots. Can I take this next piece off? See, there's new root tips coming through here, and this is where you get the problem. As you try and take it off, we're trying to maintain as many new root tips as possible by being gentle and just peeling it back gently. Chances of getting it all off are 0, so some of it's going to stay, but the more of these new root tips that are maintained, the faster it will recover. Now my main new growth is here, and there are a mass of new roots in that area. This is my main root area. This is the bit that has to be maintained, if at all possible. See, I don't think I'm going to get this off. Just see if I can come at it from the inside. I remember doing this with a couple of cattleyas quite a long time ago, and they stalled for such a long time afterwards. They just took ages to get going. See, this is now, we're now pulling moss out. So up this end of the plant, moss was put inside of this coconut shell. Well, that will be long since gone off, I would imagine. So I'm going to have to try and get as much of that out as possible. See, this may well have to be a 2-stage repot. This being stage 1, where you get as much of it off as you can. Ugh. And then allow those, you know, as I said, round here we have a mass of new roots. These are viable roots around this side of the plant. And at this end where this little new growth is. I think that's going to do. I'm just trying to get the middle out. Because the middle, there won't be any new roots in the middle here. Right, well that came out a bit bit easier than I thought it would. Now all I'm going to do is cut dead roots off. Because these are papery, you know, these are not going anywhere. Can actually cut some of the coconut shell off while I'm at it. And that exposes up in here where this moss is, where I haven't managed to get all of that out yet. But I have got most of it. Just niggle away at it. Right, how are we doing then? We're supposed to be looking for papery roots to trim off. Preferably without getting anywhere near the new ones. What's the matter with Mojo today? He's making a lot more noise than normal. Recently he's been staying downstairs and sort of sleeping on the settee during the day because the sun comes through the window. He gets a nice sunny patch there, which he seems to quite like. But today he's decided to go upstairs and he's just sitting at the top of the stairs yowling at the moment. Having a funny moment, as he does. Right, I think if we go much further we're going to end up snipping new roots, because you know these papery roots here are quite close to new roots, and at the expense of cutting new roots off I'd rather not. I'm just going to see if I can cut some of this coconut shell away around the back of the roots, see if it will peel off. A bit more off. Well, I reckon that'll do. Oops, sorry. Haven't done my trimming around this side, have we? Some right manky bits around here. But nonetheless, down in there are some new root tips, so I think we'll just leave that bit. Well, I've got a lot more off than I expected to. There's now new root tips that can grow on and get down into some media. So that's what we'll be planting. Obviously this is still a hard piece of shell here, but the new roots are growing around it and in front of it. And if the worst comes to the worst, that bit will just have to stay there and sort of rot down until eventually it falls apart. On a future repot that will be, not now. So any canes need to come off. I think I will actually take some of these old little seedling canes off. That one's got a leaf on, so you can stay. Just to tidy it up a little bit. That's completely shriveled, that cane, so it's not serving any purpose, so it can come off. This one's got a single leaf on it, but it's not shriveled, so it can stay. Well, it's desiccated, but not shriveled. So at some point it's lost its moisture. And then we've got our leaved cane, which is, you know, that's most of the life of the plant is this cane. And then we've got our new cane pushing up nicely with a whole new set of new leaves. And another tiny little growth here, which hopefully will push on. It gets in some media. Right, so I'll put that to one side. Recover me tools. And we'll just get rid of this mess. There isn't much. I mean, that's dry mess as well. I deliberately haven't watered this for a bit. So you haven't got to worry about that. And then I'll come back with a suitable pot and we'll get this in a pot. It's bound to need staking. That goes without saying this time round. Right, I'll be back. Okay, I think I'm going to get away with not having to stake this on the ground. It sits on the top of the pot. It just sits there. So providing I just put the media around it as it is, it should be okay. Now what I've done is I've put a couple of lumps of lava rock in the bottom of the pot for a bit of stability. Get a bit of weight in there. It's an air cone pot. And this is medium bark. And that's what I've put in the bottom. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix some grow stones in with this. Don't ask me why, I've just got them. And quite honestly, I've never really worked out what use they are. But Marius, who took on the National Collection when Jeff Hands died, he uses grow stones in his dendrobium mix all the time, so that's partly why I've sort of thought, well, let's mix some in then. Can't do any harm, I suppose. Now, this is just going to get placed like that, sitting on that media. In fact, I'm going to have to take a bit out just in that area there. There's just a little bit of section of root that's not sitting down nicely. There we go. And then I'm just going to pour this in. And you need to do some tapping because there is a hollow in the middle where if this media was wet you'd never get any in there. But when it's dry it will find a level, and that level will involve getting into that hollow, which the fact that that media is disappearing, yeah, it's going into the hollow. So it's done its job. That's what I was after. Now all we've got to do is top up. So as far as potting goes, this is very easy. It's just literally a matter of filling in the gaps. Making sure that we've got media where these new roots are. Now this, being new bark, will be very difficult to wet. I can see a little hollow. See just there? That's why it always pays to look. And just tease some media down into that hollow, like that. That then leaves a gap which we need to fill up again. There's always, you know, see now if this had been a black pot that wouldn't have been obvious, would it? So we'd have had a hollow and we'd have had roots heading into thin air, which sometimes doesn't do any harm, but if you can avoid it without too much hassle, then you just as well do it. Right. So that's filled that little hollow in quite nicely. It's relatively important because it's right below that little new growth, which is going to put more new roots out. It started putting some down, but the main root system is going to come from this new growth, which has already pushed some roots down into places, some of which we've detached from that stuff. Now, how stable is that? That's actually pretty good. I'm well pleased with that. Right, so there we go. We did have a tag with this somewhere, didn't we? It's got an awful lot of words on it. It's Dendrobium Gerac spider crossed with discolor. So it's a hybrid cross with a species, but antelope type dendrobium basically. Now I'm going to take this off. I don't know why I didn't take it off last time. It's some sort of identification, probably to do with an import, but it hasn't got anything significant on it that's worth keeping, so we'll take that off, stick that in the waste. So there we go, that's a repot on something that could have had half its roots destroyed in the repot, when in actual fact we destroyed very little of the viable root system, very little. Therefore it's been maintained, therefore hopefully it will now get going. The fact that it's in some reasonable media, hopefully it will all get going now. It's growing well anyway, you know, the new growth is pushing on nicely. It's not like it's not growing, but you know, if it can get some roots into some media and feel more comfortable and more secure, because that was far from secure, it's wobbling around all over the place. I will have to get a black pot for it, which I haven't got any of the larger ones down here. I'm not even sure if I've got any larger ones left, but we'll go and have a look. So there we go, that's a repot of something that could have been a disaster that's actually turned out quite well after all. Right, so now what's going on? Today is Wednesday. Later today I'm going to pick Hannah up, and we've got the funeral tomorrow, and I won't be filming tomorrow. So as far as the Orchid channel is concerned, this one will have to last you till Friday. And Friday will unfortunately keep my views down nice and low because it's the Project Orchid video. But, although the last one didn't do too bad, as those videos go, it wasn't too bad. I suppose again it's because they're specific, they're an actual plant, and if it's not a sort of plant that you grow or one that you're interested in, you're not going to watch the video. Understandable, you know. So yes, and that'll take me into the weekend. Tomorrow, as I said, we've got the funeral in the day. I don't know whether we're invited to any of the gatherings afterwards, that I don't know yet. And I've got to take Hannah home tomorrow evening, so that knocks tomorrow out completely. So that's that. On the bonsai channel there will be a video loaded tomorrow morning. I've already filmed it, but I loaded one on the bonsai channel yesterday, so I don't want, as I've said in the Sunday chat, I don't want too many videos up all at once to give people a bit of a break perhaps. So you get a break on the Orchid channel tomorrow because of events. I'll stick a bonsai video up tomorrow, and I will probably go against what I said on Sunday and put one of the gardening videos up virtually every day, on the grounds that I want to catch up. The idea is I'm telling the story of the progress through the garden, and we're in midwinter at the moment telling the story, and the story moves into spring soon, where we've got the plants coming from Carol and things like that. I want to get up to that sort of point. So the only way to do that is either to miss videos out completely and, miss chunks of the story out, or post them frequently. So I've sort of decided I'm going to post them frequently and try and catch up before the end of this year. Anyway, thanks for watching, and if you're not subscribed, it would be nice if you did so. If you've watched this far, you must be interested in the channel, and don't forget the old thumbs up if you like the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for dropping by.